Good evening. Welcome this evening. My name is Willie A. Wilson Jr. I'm a CNA ESOL instructor at the Adult Learning Center and a longtime educator here in the city of Brockton. To my left is Courtney Henderson, a political strategist, and to her left is Stephen Thomasy, also an educator, ESOL instructor of citizenship at the Adult Learning Center, and again, longtime educator. We're just glad to be here this evening to give you actual up-to-date results on the primary election here in Brockton. To that end, I'd like Steve to give us a little rundown on some of the statistics concerning our voting population, if you please.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things that everybody that I've talked to today, and I've been to a bunch of polling places, is that everybody's concerned about low turnout. And so 2 years ago in the preliminary, we had 11% turnout in the primary and only 18% in the final one in November. So that's an issue. And just informal survey today going from poll to poll, I'm not sure that it's going to be better. I did do some research on the state site, Billy Galvin, Secretary of State site yesterday on statistics for Brockton. I found it myself sort of stunning that there are 67,567 registered voters. Some of those are inactive, but that doesn't mean that they couldn't vote today. If they were inactive, they essentially had to re-register on site. But anyway, 67,000. The 2020 census said that we had 105,643 people. That's a pretty large percentage, considering children, and people who are, younger, too young to even register to vote. That's a pretty high percentage. So I was curious about the breakdown. 25,000, this is out of 67,000, 25,757 are registered as Democrats, all right? You think of the old days when this was a totally Democratic city. 3,409 Republicans, so that's not really a popular choice here. Not surprisingly, because people do not want to enroll in party these days. Larger than either of the two, in fact, more than the two parties combined, there's 37,602 unenrolled. So the majority of people in the city who do that. There were also 799 other political designations, so somebody Green Party, Socialist, or whatever. There was no breakdown on those. So the big thing that I think we're all interested in seeing tonight is how many people turn out. What is the percentage? I mean, will we break 10% on that? I was at an event last week, and there was a fella there advocating for ranked choice. And he was saying that, well, we could eliminate this election and just have a ranked choice in November. I'm not sure how that would increase turnout, but that, it's like, why run this election if you're going to have so few people vote? So I'm hoping I'm pleasantly surprised. Now, that would mean 12% or more, something that at least would be a little better than last time. So those are some numbers. I don't think we're going to see final total count tonight, but that's something that, you might look in the paper tomorrow, the Enterprise, or maybe even the Globe will have some coverage of the cities or towns that had elections. But we can find that out in the next week or so. So anyway, Courtney.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that breakdown. I think it's important to preface this conversation with the breakdown because it allows us to kind of predict what the turnout is going to be during this election. We have quite a few people that are contested, a lot of new faces. What are your thoughts on turnout? Do you think we're going to see a good turnout today? Are we hopeful?
I'm
optimistic?
Hopeful. Now, you've been about in the city and at some of these different events. I was wondering if any of the candidates have actually said, please get out and vote. And if you have friends or relatives who are not registered, please get them out to register. So, I think it goes hand in hand. I don't think you should wait to the final election. I think that whole push to get people registered and get people more involved in the process, especially young people, should start with the primary.
See, the candidates themselves, you can't expect them to, they want their own supporters to come out and vote. Where it could be increases in civic organizations. One of the biggest type of civic organization in the city, from what I can observe, is at churches, right? And I don't know if the pastors or whatever see that as a role that they shouldn't do. They shouldn't be advocating for one candidate rather than another, but the turnout, right? Democracy, is a thing where you uplift yourself. That should be their message in all ways. So I don't think there's enough of that. Civic organizations and the churches. I don't know what other civic organizations.
Well,
would be.
when I was teaching U.S. history at Brockton High, we actually had students register who were 18 at the high school at one time. So I think my point is that even though, and you're right, they want people who are supporting them who are already registered voters, but I think there should be a push to get more people involved in the process.
So I agree. I think there should be more civic organizations that are going to, look, we have some results coming in.
Well, actually, no results, but we do have a list of the 8 people
Got
who
it.
are running
Perfect.
for mayor.
Perfect.
Yeah, there, and I mean, a couple of them, John Bradley and Moses Rodriguez, are on city council now. They're
Correct.
well known. The other people are less so.
Could
Some
you
of
read
them-
those 6
Sure,
names?
absolutely. So we have Jean Bradley, Dorinda Court, Moses M. Rodriguez, Luz Villar, Richard Wayne Ripley, Eugenia Kavanaugh, Richard D. Reed, Karina Lisa Mompelis, and Lawrence Patrick Fargo. So we talk about democracy, that's quite a few options here that we have. But to get to to the question about registering voters, I don't think the problem is registering. If we have 67,000 out of 105 or so, and that's, you have to exclude those who are not eligible to vote or those who are too young to vote, that's a sizable group of voters. I think the problem is getting them to actually go to the polls. I'm going to say I'm optimistic on this one. I think because we have pretty much every seat up, with the exception of one, we have one uncontested person, we actually have options. So I'm looking forward to seeing this. I'm going to be optimistic.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I was at a poll 8 to 10 this morning, at another poll from 11 to 1:30, and then another one from 4:30 to 6:15. The 4:30 to 6:15, there was a big turnout that was up at Brookfield School, really big turnout.
good.
And that's people coming home from work. Those people, everybody who showed up is enthusiastic about it, I mean, I guess the 67,000, you think of this as a city with so many immigrants, and Willie and I teach at the ALC, so we dealing with that. So those people are
Automatically
immediately
excluded, correct.
And there are lots and lots of children. I mean, you look at all the kids in the Brockton Public School, those kids can't. That's why I was thinking, this is a really big number, and I got it off the state site. I was just kind of stunned. I would have guessed, maybe half the people or something in the city. So this
Yeah, it's a
is the
pretty
number
large
turned
number.
in, yeah. So
Like,
we have
voter
to-
registration is never the issue in Brockton. It's actually
Right.
getting them to the polls, and that's where I think the civic organizations should come in and then talk about the importance of voting. They're already registered. It's about and that's I don't speak in absolutes. I think there are some groups of people that aren't registered to vote who are eligible, and of course we want to focus on them as well. But I don't think we should focus too much energy on those. I don't know. Am I the only optimistic one here?
No,
I
mean,
want to
we-
be optimistic.
We can't tell. It depends on, like I was saying, like 12% doesn't sound like much, but it would be better than last time. I would consider that to be a victory in the right direction. But objectively, 12%, of an election, I do think we held this election anything?
Nope. So
Not
we're
yet.
just going to read
Okay,
off.
Counselor
So
at large.
Yeah.
we have a lot. So this is. I'm actually really happy to see that we have such a large group of people running for city council at large. So we have Judith Nelson. We have Alex Arthur Gayard, Winthrop Farwell, who was an incumbent, Jeffrey Charnell, Joseph Edward Francois, Jed Presco, Carla DeRosa, David Texera, who's also an incumbent, Stephen J. Clay, Michael Nunez, and then Matthew DeLisme. And then, of course, if there are any write-ins, we'll be able to report on those as the results trickle in.
Now, I know Jeffrey. I remember when he was a student at Brockton High, and then later on, very involved in the Cape Verdean, the Haitian community. What I was pleased to see, and this is across the board, counselors at large, ward counselors, and school committee, some of the former students who have gone to school, work, and have and know the city and are getting involved in the political process. So that was a very hopeful sign, and Jeff is an example of that.
Yeah.
Here we have the Ward 1 City Councilor preliminary, Ulysses Manuel Varela, Steve Lanus, Marlon Green, and Bill Keene. And again, Ulysses is a homegrown student, Brockton High, parents. In fact, his aunt was one of my students. Good young man, very involved. Mr. Lanus, again, Greek background, Greek Annunciation Church.
So
Ward
here,
1.
Ward 1 School Committee, we have Stephen Pina, George Vega, Jorge Vega,
yeah,
and I
yeah.
know him, so sorry, Jorge, and then Stephen Coleman O'Malley.
Right. I mean, you'll see in those three that we've seen so far, for the councilor at large, there's 11 people in tonight. It'll be reduced to 8 and then to 4 in
Right.
November. But only 2 are incumbents. So 2 out of the 4
Will be
new
new
people.
new
So that's a
faces.
little new. And in both of those 2 races that we just saw, it's also somebody new. Well, no, Jorge was appointed
Right.
Correct.
in this. So this is the first time that he is running to
Right.
as
Actually,
an incumbent.
yes.
Right.
So
Correct.
you could argue that that's new also. And there will be a new city councilor from Ward 1 and having 4 people. When we get to Ward 7 and we have this discussion about really nobody's running, you can see.
Okay, Ward 3 School Committee preliminary, Omega Corbett, Matthew Stanton, and Anna Carrera Oliver.
Right. In this case, that's essentially a rematch. So
Yes.
last time it was Matt Stanton against Anna
Oliver.
Oliver. The third person there, who I've never met, and I couldn't pick out, is in my ward. What's particularly good with having the third person in is that now there'll be some show of relative strength in advance of November, right? If there's only 2 people in any of these races, they weren't on the ballot today, so you're still flying blind to November. So it was just nice that somebody jumped in.
Right.
And they only have to get the 150 votes, and then they can, be an active politician, active participant
Right.
in this process, and move it along. So whoever this person is, I was happy that they joined.
Yeah. So looking at Ward 5 city councilors, we have Jeffrey Thompson, who is our incumbent, Keith Hayes, and Ellie Texera, who will be fighting for that seat. Jeff will be actually trying to save his seat from 2 new candidates. And so similar to what we've just talked about, now we have a third person in the race. And so this is going to be
Right.
pretty close.
And I think what happens here is, Steve, to the listening audience, he loves to have that third person because
He does.
it's more people. He almost gets excited. It's almost like giving them a Tootsie Roll pop, But his point is, the more people involved in the process, the better representation, and to get the person involved in the system. Oh, Ward 6.
I'm actually excited for this one.
Yeah.
You want to read that one for us, Steve?
So Jack Lally, John Fitzgerald Lally, for you
So
Irishmen. Anyway, none of us. But anyway, Jamal Braithwaite and Lisa Crowley. And this one's a really interesting race because these people are all well known
Yes.
in this ward. You know, they all have sort of record as activists. I mean, Jack has had this position for a while now.
Mm-hmm.
And whoever is going to be the person running against him, again, I say, you'll know. Like, could you take the two, the total votes from the two people, and does it equal more than Jack? If it doesn't, he's in the driver's seat probably.
Right.
But if their combined is more than his, then he knows he has a race.
Exactly.
And whoever is that other person knows where they stand relative to him going toward November.
Going toward November. Now,
Yeah.
what we haven't done is talk about some of the specific issues in some of the wards. Now, in that particular ward, we have this
The
proposal.
Removal Park.
Removal
Right.
Park in terms of so it's going to be interesting how the candidates shake out and articulate their view about this proposed development.
Yeah, this has really been a sore point in that ward for as long as I can remember, right? So that's particular, and they have been talking about it very actively. On the other hand, like wards 1 and 3 are terribly affected by the fairgrounds, right? I mean, I can't go a day without driving past the fairgrounds because where I live. I mean, I guess I could possibly do it, but the point is, it is there,
Right.
and it causes traffic down Forest Avenue and all this. I've not heard a word about that specifically. And I've been going to events, neither the Ward 1 guys or the Ward 3 guys
Right.
have been saying, oh, this is what I'd like to see happen.
Right.
Now, it's not, the city council only very indirectly will affect this. The city doesn't own that property. Carney's will sell it to somebody. But what is done with it is affected by zoning questions,
So but it's interesting because, when you ask people, a lot of them have this attitude, let's wait and see. So, but I think as a candidate, you should articulate what your vision is,
Right.
having spoken to some of your constituents in your ward and precinct. So I don't like that idea of wait and see. You should have your own ideas. And this is going to be critical as we go forward.
Oh, yeah, I think, and it was hardly mentioned in the various events that I went to, candidate events, I think housing is a serious issue here. The lack of affordable housing, what people pay at the top floor of triple deckers.
I'm glad you mentioned that because there's a movement afoot for the 2026 ballot to put rent control, bring rent control statewide to all 351 cities and towns.
Right. But rent control doesn't add to the housing stock.
Right.
I mean, I would vote for rent control, but anyway, it's not.
Ooh, good. We have some numbers.
Numbers.
Okay, so Jean Bradley, Darren Court, we have
There's 225. I got young eyes. You need me?
Oh no! I was listening to one of our technicians to the side, and then for Moses Rodriguez, 420. Luz Valère, 46. Richard Wayne Ripley, 6. Eugenie Kavanaugh, 12. Richard Reed, 14. Karina Lisa Monpelis, 5, and Lawrence Patrick Fargo, 3.
Wow.
Right. So you're going to have two people come out of that. I think, at least, and most people think this, that Moses was, the favorite in this race for a variety of reasons. So the question was, who's going to run against him, right? Luz Villar, new person
Yes.
in the city, in the race or anything. I went to events where I thought she was quite impressive and articulate, but you have to have name recognition.
Yeah.
And the two guys who have been for the longest time on the city council, they have name recognition. They also have ethnic loyalty communities, right? And it would be foolish to deny that that's a big factor there. Luz Villar, I didn't know. I saw her at an
Yeah.
event last week. She's from Puerto Rico. Her family's Puerto
Yeah.
Rican, and there's not a big Puerto Rican community in
Right.
Brockton.
Counselor at large, you want to read those?
Sure, absolutely. So we have Judith Nelson with 154. We have Alex Gayard with 83. Winthrop Farwell with 136. Jeffrey Charnell with 159. Joseph Francois with 95. Jed Resco with 52. Carla DeRosa with 360. David Texera with 373. Stephen Clay with 54 votes. Michael Nunez has 169.
Yeah, 169.
And then Matthew DeLisme with 89 votes and 6 write-ins.
Right.
Oh, good. That's
Pretty
amazing.
good. That's an impressive turnout for
Well,
that.
I like
What we
the
don't
grid.
know here at this point, right, is how many precincts or have been.
We have 2 more to go. So these,
Oh, okay.
not final.
No,
but-
no, right. This isn't near the final.
Oh,
No, no, no.
We don't know how many precincts have been counted or.
Well,
so-
that might have been, I saw a
two, but it's got to be more than 2. You wouldn't have all those votes from
No,
2.
no.
Right. So I guess what we can boil it down to is that we
Right,
don't
right.
have
So,
everything just yet.
I don't know how far along we are. I thought,
Things can turn around.
Carla DeRosa is ahead. Against well-known. Well, I think maybe they'd have to put it back. Maybe David Teixeira had a little bit more than her, and he's an incumbent. That's interesting. You don't know how long that'll endure, but I find that very interesting. She had quite a bit more than, say, Wynn Farwell,
Right.
who has been there since I think I was in elementary school.
Oh,
when
yeah.
I thought you were going to say.
when he was
I thought you were going to say the dinosaurs. Were,
No, it's not true. But my daughters were in elementary school when he was the mayor,
Right,
and they're in
right.
their 40s now.
yeah.
So it's like one of my favorite things is I love little trivia questions, right? And one of my favorite ones is, tell me the date that Ed Markey entered the Congress of the United States, right? The date that Ed Markey,
Right.
Can you give me the exact date?
no.
No, I couldn't.
Right? It is January 3rd, 1977.
Wow.
And he's still in the Congress of the United States. He was congressman before Jimmy Carter was inaugurated as president that same month.
Wow.
And it's like, they're there forever.
Yeah.
No term limits. So, I'm a really fierce proponent of term limits.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I teach American government, and that is something that constantly comes up. Every semester I teach it. I have students that say, why don't we have term limits if we have term limits for presidents?
Yeah.
I said, that's a great question.
That's right. Well, and of course, that's because of the Constitution.
Right.
Even like age limits.
Correct.
The age limits can be set state by state. And North Dakota, 2 years ago, is the only state with an age limit on their congressional
Wow. I did not know
delegation.
that.
So House of Representatives, they only have one.
Right.
And the 2 senators, no one can run for office if the term will take them past their 80th birthday. So
I feel like it needs to be a little lower.
well, no, but still, that is a bit of a breakthrough,
It is.
right? At least it's some term limit.
One of the things I wanted to mention this evening, former Speaker of the House, Thomas P. Tip O'Neill, once coined a phrase, all politics are local.
Yes.
And he is credited with that statement, but he actually got it from his father. And in his 1987 autobiography, Man of the House, O'Neill attributes the phrase to his dad. And it was fascinating, and I saw this, what his dad said. The meaning of the phrase was first impressed upon O'Neill after his one and only political defeat for a seat on the Cambridge City Council, an experience he describes in his book. O'Neill's father told him that while he had been popular elsewhere in the city, he had neglected to focus on his own neighborhood.
Yes.
And that
a
really struck me as a graduate of BC, and O'Neill went to BC. Our library is named after him. This is BC Boston
Just another trivia question. How old was Tip O'Neill when he stepped aside and chose not to run again, a position, he would have kept that forever kind of thing, or not forever, but
Yeah.
for quite a long, how old was he? Aha. No, right.
I'm looking at the historian.
Again.
Well, the thing.
No, but it's not, I'm not trying to be tricky
No. But I'm thinking because he was what happened is he was the 47th Speaker of the House. That's the third longest tenure and the longest uninterrupted tenure.
Right.
But to answer your question,
the answer is 74.
wow,
He stepped out.
he was younger than you.
That's right.
At the time.
That's true. And I would say I'm too old too. No, I mean, to run for office, I mean, I definitely would have a 75 cutoff.
Yeah.
And I'm past that. But, I mean, the point is that he stepped down when he was 74. Now, because the way he looked, he always looked old.
Yeah.
Right? That just kind of, he was heavy and he had, all the hair and everything, and he was white all the time. But he was only 74.
74.
Which was, I read this last week in an article that was talking about Markey in the Globe, talking about Markey, like, when are you going to not hang on, right? And it's, it's interesting that, Markey will win again.
Now, here's the thing with my first teaching job when I graduated from BC was in Cambridge Public Schools. And I remember Al Florence Cheatham was the superintendent, first black superintendent in Cambridge. But I remember there was an issue, and the school committee was making some changes, and there was a possibility of an administrator being removed. And Tip O'Neill made a call from Washington, and so I remember talking, well, what happened with that position? They said, oh, a phone call came from Washington, and she's okay. And it's just amazing. And that lesson that his father taught him, and I always remember all politics is local. So that regardless of whether you're Campello, Montello, East Side, West Side, you have to speak to the issues.
There's a, to expand on that story from the man of the house thing, there's a story about the lady that he knew, Mary, who lived next door for his whole life.
Right, yeah.
He said, Mary, did you vote for me? She said, no. He said, Mary, you've known me my whole life. She said, you didn't ask. It goes along with what you're saying.
Yeah.
He sort of took for granted that the people that he knew would, of course, they would vote for him. They've known him since he was a kid. And she said, you didn't ask. And, that was in the same book, saying, this is the lesson I learned.
Yeah.
The door-to-door, if you actually, there wasn't much door-to-door. I don't know if anybody came to your door, not one person.
Oh, we had Marlon Green. We had
Came to your house.
Ulysses
yeah.
Varela. This is just for this year.
Yeah. They came to your house. I didn't have anybody come. Maybe they came to my house when they dropped off.
Bradley Derncourt came.
Yeah.
The shoe leather. The old days, you would wear the shoe leather out.
But that makes a difference if you actually have personal contact.
Right.
We're active, so we know who these people are and
Right.
have an opinion and that sort of thing. A lot of people don't know, really? Is there even an election going on? You're running? Oh, what a nice person you are.
Yeah.
I'll vote for you.
Well, as someone who used to work on campaigns, and it's not fun, the game has changed. They're not using the typical phone banking, door knocking techniques. It's more digitalized now. So which takes away that personal touch, which you mentioned, that person didn't vote because she wasn't asked. I think that's where we're going to see the candidates do very well, are those that kept to the closer grassroots movement. Here we have Ward 3 School Committee. Steve, did you want to take this one?
Yes, okay. So Omega Corbett, who is basically the third person in, first time they have run for this, 101 votes. I think that's a good amount. Yeah. Matt Stanton, 507, and Anna Oliver, 430. I mean, the one thing, if it ended like that, you don't know where Omega's votes would go in the
after
next
that.
round.
It's a good kind of split
but
there.
That's an interesting division, I find.
It
But
is.
she got 101 votes, and that's just in one ward. And we saw some of those councilor at large, where you can vote for 8, and having many fewer votes than 101. Yeah. And the thing, I'm sad about, I think I mentioned this before we came on air, I live in that ward. I have never met that person, and I would have loved to. Like, I'll talk to you over anybody, Like, oh, you're running? Let me tell you.
That's funny.
I mean, if they came to the houses, they have trouble getting a word in edgewise,
Yeah, my dad's the same way.
I love the Jehovah's Witnesses when they come, because I respect them terribly, but then I start talking at them, and they're sorry they came.
Yeah, they won't knock on your door again.
See, you were a trial for them. Well, we
New.
knew.
Oh,
Okay,
okay.
excellent.
Wow. Okay.
Update. This is Gene Bradley, Derricourt, 777 votes. Moses Rodriguez, 1,095 votes. Luz, 173. Rain Ripley, 20. Eugenie Kavanaugh, 45. Richard Reed, 78. Karina Montpelez, 16. And Lawrence Fargo, 31. We haven't talked about some of the other candidates now. Richard Reed is a pastor, North Baptist Church.
That's right.
And I think all of the candidates, all the mayoral candidates, have expressed the reasons why they're running. And I think it behooves the 2 finalists to listen to some of those candidates. There might be some ideas, some concepts that they haven't thought of that would actually serve the citizens of Brockton well.
I'm not super at math, but I did some just like quick adding up. The total of all the other people, if those were all added to Jean Bradley's, it might have been close. Might have been close, but I think it was fewer than the difference between him and Moses. Again, all those people will have a second vote, which is sometimes what I argue about with people who are advocating for the
Ranked choice voting.
the ranked choice. We are going to get another choice out of who's left.
Right.
Right. Without the other complications, the voting complications.
Okay, here
we
it is.
go.
You want to read those?
Council at large, Judith Nelson, 528. Wynne Farwell, 629. Joseph Francois, 308. Carla DeRosa, 906. Steve Clay, 158. Matthew Delisme, 267. Alex Gaillot, 278. Jeffrey Charnell, 499. Jed Resco, 206. David Teixeira, an incumbent, 1039. Michael Nunes, 470. And write-ins, 23.
So that's updated. There's been a change
Yeah, there has been
since
some
the
change.
last report.
Yeah, but see, Carla DeRosa, who I only encountered last week, and I was standing with her in Brookfield tonight. She was second there, which is, she's not a person that I knew of before last week when I saw her speak in an event, but she has friends. I mean, there's a lot of them there. It's funny. I think some of the people there didn't evidently put in a lot of effort. Like, they don't have signs, they haven't appeared at events. There are a couple of people that I know have a lot of signs and did appear at events and have very few votes.
And then
so those are the people must feel sad.
Now, listen, I was looking at, some of the signs, and of course it says paid by so-and-so, and they actually pay printers.
Yes.
But I was particularly interested in Mr. Lanos's, he's running Ward 1, and he went all his print material, and he made a little note, done in home, so it was on his own
I
printer.
love that.
Really?
And it was really nice with a picture of his wife and his 2 kids.
I did see that.
And done in-house. So again, some of the candidates, depending on what they have for money, they're throwing their hat in the race, but in terms of a budget. But it's interesting. It's just very.
I've
That's
seen
an
campaigns
observation.
win with $50. So money doesn't always mean everything. We do have another update here for Mayor. Stephen, you want to take this one?
Yeah, okay, so Jean Bradley has 982 Court. He always points out that his is the longest name on the ballot. Luz Villar has 212. Eugenie Kavanaugh, 60. Karina Momplinlas has 22. Moses Rodriguez is again ahead, but it's
Not quite.
1318.
Yeah, 1318. 25 for Richard Ripley, 109 for Richard Reed, and 37 for Lawrence Fargo. Again, I'm not sure how close, if you took all those, how close John Bradley, but it looked like he had, at least by percentage,
Right.
made the margin a little smaller.
He did.
Since the last time we
Right.
saw it.
I do want to give a thanks to the in-house for the infographics. I like the pie chart.
that's
and,
nice.
Oh, yeah.
And all those that we
Right.
use that, and it's good to illustrate using the
Yes.
colors so you can see, because some of our listeners and viewers are actually visual learners.
Yes.
And so it's always good to have it in that way as well.
Yeah, they are being pulled away a little. Here we're back to it. That's good. So that we can.
These are council at large.
Council
Yeah,
Lodge,
Council
Judith
Lodge.
Nelson, 774. Winthrop Farwell, 876. Joseph Francois, 420. Carla DeRosa, 1,000.
Wow.
207.
Yeah.
Okay, Stephen Clay, 227. Matthew Delisme, 356. Alex Gayad, 340. Jeffrey Charnell, 605. Jed Resco, 233. David Texera, 1259. And Michael Nunez, 560, and of course the write-ins 33. Now, here's the thing: when they say incumbents always have that extra edge,
Yeah.
so you can always factor in a percentage or actual number because of name recognition and the fact they've already been there for a term.
And the same people keep
Voting
voting
for the
for
same.
them again.
Right.
So that's why the Carla DeRosa, who's had no votes by anybody before this,
That's pretty impressive.
is
Yeah.
pretty impressive.
Yeah, right.
That's the thing. Now, it is top 4, but it looks, there isn't that much left. It looks like she'll definitely be one of the
Oh, yeah. I can see
top
her.
4, but it's 8 that are going on.
Right.
Correct.
So only 3 are not going on here.
Right,
So,
that's
Correct.
right.
so sort of fight for the bottom. So like I was in college and I went into this math course because I was in a liberal arts Jesuit school, so you had to take a math course. So the teacher says, the bottom 10% are going to fail. And I'm looking around to see, is there like 10% stupider kids than me? I remember, really thinking that. Those kids look dumber than me? Because it was like I was really worried about, getting a D. I got to get the D in math. But it just reminded me of that, So now, my point is that the people who are down the bottom are now counting up. See
That's
if
right.
they're ahead of 3 other
Correct.
people to go on to the next round.
And those are numbers. And this is where going door to door, or even using some of the digital resources that are out there makes the difference. It's just one difference. And we know this from the Belzardi Carpenter race, where she
God.
lost by, how many did she lose by?
Oh, yeah, I'm not sure exactly.
It was so minuscule.
It was a small amount.
And so the thing of it is, but it makes how you campaign
Yeah.
makes a difference in terms of that final
I'm still
outcome.
advocating for old campaigning. I think the best way to do it is knocking on doors, making phone calls, and going to community events. That's going to be the tried and true way every single time. Now, I do know that we have to reach the younger generation of voters, which is, through TikTok and all these other social media platforms. But I've seen it done. I've seen people win with $50, and I've seen people lose with $30,000.
Well, when you talk about losing, I
Yeah.
couldn't help resist when, what I think of the mayoral race in Boston.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And
Oh,
and
yeah.
spending
Oh, yeah.
$8 to $9 million to
Crazy.
go backwards,
And-
and it was
yeah.
just
To step down. Yeah.
That,
But that shows that money doesn't always mean you're going to win.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
that was, I'm sure everybody, including Mayor Wu, was surprised by the
Yeah,
margin.
that wasn't on my bingo card.
Yeah,
at all.
yeah, I would have thought maybe 30%
Yeah,
or whatever,
yeah.
but
And I do think Josh Kraft made the right decision in terms of and spending that money, that extra money, for alleviating mass incarceration.
yeah, I still though disapprove of him like dropping out totally. He could have used that as a platform in which to continue discussions of important issues. I mean, the discussions would continue. Now they just stopped. They've handed it to her.
But like he said, one of the things, the negativity. See, and it's my opinion that, he was ill-advised in terms of getting involved in the first place. There were other people that wanted to run against her, but they did not have the capital and they didn't have the name recognition. So and he's not a negative person, and I
Right.
think the more he looked at it in the mud and all that wasn't him in the beginning.
That he wasn't generating, but the people who didn't like Wu
Yeah.
for various reasons, right? Didn't like what type of person she was,
Yeah.
etc. They coalesced around him, and he had
Yeah.
sort of a coalition of the ugly supporting him. So I can see.
So, yeah,
wanting
we're going to take a quick break.
to drop out.
Hold
Okay.
that point, though.
Oh.
Brockton Community Access isn't just TV. It's your platform to share stories, create change, and make an impact. From hosting your own program to learning media production, Brockton residents have the tools to inform, inspire, and entertain. No experience needed, just your voice and your vision. Getting involved means more visibility, more connections, and more opportunities to shape Brockton's future. Join the movement. Create, collaborate, and be heard. Take the first step today. Visit Brockton Community Access and start making an impact. Here are the top 5 reasons to engage with BCA TV today. Share your stories, opinions, and creative content on a platform that targets local viewers. Access free media resources to produce high-quality content. Training programs that empower you with valuable media skills. Live access to city council meetings and public affairs programming. Inform local audiences to build stronger community connections. Tell your story. Get involved today.
Welcome back. Steve, when we left, there was something you were talking about.
Probably.
You were.
What was it? Yeah. Oh yeah. This afternoon I was at this is addressing your question of meeting somebody face to face.
Yes.
So this afternoon I was at South Junior High, holding a sign for a candidate, and standing next to me is a young man holding a sign for Alex Gale, right? And I didn't recognize him at first, but across the street he had come in a van where he had a giant picture of Alex Gale, and I said to him, "Is that you?" He said, "Oh yes." And then we talked. And he was a lovely person, but I had not met him. And today I went in, I was not voting for any incumbent, period. So when I went and he's running for council at large, when I went in for council at large, I had to pick 4 people that weren't incumbents, right? So, there are people that I hardly knew, but I saw them at events.
Yeah.
And I didn't see him in an event. I mean, I could have voted for him possibly had he come to my house, or I saw it at an event or something like that. So your point about the personal contact.
Correct.
So you actually know, it's not just like your friend is voting for, or I heard this person's good, So I just,
Ward 1 City Council Prominent, okay? Ulysses, Manuel Varela, 425, Marlon Green, 337, Steve Lanus, 280, and Bill Keene, 139.
yeah. Well, Ulysses is a first-time candidate. Marlon's run
Before.
several times. He
Right.
ran in Ward 3 when
Right.
he lived near me.
And then he moved to
And
Ward
then he
1.
moved to 1, and he's run there before. But it's interesting, Ulysses was ahead there.
Yeah.
And it looked like they were ahead by enough that they probably will be the final 2, Ulysses
And Ulysses, again,
Marlon.
it's nice seeing him grow up.
Yeah.
Like I said, Brockton, young man. He's a officer in the courts. And just refreshing. I know his parents have been advocate.
Yes.
Work is for
Yeah.
him. And you see the signs throughout. But again, I'm always encouraged when I see younger people
I am too.
get involved in the
Yeah,
process.
he works in the Plymouth County office,
Right.
right?
I
Yeah.
believe so.
Yeah. So here we have Ward 1 School Committee. So Stephen Pina with 455, Jorge Vega with 365, and Stephen O'Malley with 295. I'm not shocked. I'm actually, I think,
Yeah.
predicted this one.
Did
No,
you?
no, did you?
I
So you
did.
know Steve Pina at all?
No, I don't.
But well, here's what I can say.
Yeah, you're in that ward.
I'm in that ward, and
Yeah.
having driven throughout the city, what a group of energized workers. To the point where, I mean, the signs, and in my ward,
He's having standouts?
standouts, young people, students,
Yeah.
and of course, because there was no school, I mean, he tapped right into some of that student power. The
that's
young
really-
kids doing that, and I was just everywhere I drove around and it not just related to Ward 1, but I think he had people holding signs in other wards too, just for the energy.
Really?
I think.
Yeah.
So I was impressed.
I went to an event last Thursday. It was at Arnone School, and they invited any candidates for any of the offices to come in. I heard him speak for the first time. And, they had a number of questions that were asked of all of them. So he probably answered 3 or 4 questions. And I was impressed, and I couldn't have picked him out of a lineup
Right.
before then, And I was happy, that I didn't vote in that because, I'm not sure. You know what I mean? But it was interesting. People have to know who you
I
are.
want to
Yes.
come back with
good.
This is Jeffrey Thompson,
Yeah.
481, Keith Hayes, 88, Ellie Texera, 378. Now you had a statistic concerning the Cape Verdean population that I wanted you to share. You didn't mention it.
Oh, yes. This is something that I was researching and found this out like the last couple nights somewhere. The largest population of Cape Verdeans in any United States city is Brockton.
Yes.
In any city in the United States. I thought it was going to be like Providence or New Bedford or something, but here, so you have this. Now, it is 19% of the Brockton population, so that's not overwhelming. It's 1 in 5, right? I looked up the other ethnic groups. The white Anglo people are still a majority. Just under 30, though. It's like 29 point something or other. So that's a diminishing population. And when I go to the Learning Center, I was telling them about these numbers, so it's almost everybody's an ethnic person, not a white. Anyway, and they said, I don't see that many white people around. I said, look, what you do is you go to Shaw's at 10 o'clock in the morning on Tuesday, right?
So specific.
And all the old white people who are still here, like me, that couldn't afford to move somewhere else, are all shopping when it's safe. It's always like the old people don't come out when the kids are
Right,
Yeah,
right.
they don't want it. Well,
on the
so-
streets.
Okay, you
Go
want to do
ahead.
that one for
Sure,
us?
yeah. So for mayor, we have Jean Bradley Durencourt with 1,997. Moses Rodriguez with 2,453. Luz Villar, okay, she's catching a little up, 444. Richard Wayne Ripley with, is that
60.
Eugenie Kavanaugh with 133. Richard Reed, 252. Karina Mompelis, 51. And Lawrence Fargo with 92.
Well, it's 400, a little over 400 votes that Moses is ahead. But if you add all those up, right, they're rather more than 400, right? I mean,
Yeah.
Sorry, who had 333? The third place person?
Can we go back?
Yeah, can
one
you go
slide?
back to that one? Yeah, here, yeah. Oh, Luz had 444. So if you added hers to Jean Bradley's, it would go over Moses's. So, 2 people are going to be in this, and it depends on how people make their second choice vote in November on that. And the sort of minor candidates are not like really registering.
Well, I
big.
mean, at this point, it's Jim Bradley Durencourt and of course Moses
Yeah.
Rodriguez, and I feel badly that Luz is third, which I think she'll finish third.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But she's not going to catch up at this point.
No.
No, she's
Not
not going to be
likely.
one of the 2 people who are expected to go ahead. They're both incumbents in the sense that they've been elected a number of times. They have their devoted
Following
Voter base,
voters.
yep.
and name recognition. Now, what would you, if you? Oh no, let me ask the political strategist, and then I'll come back to you. What would you advise her to do going forward?
To not give up. So I've seen this a lot. I've worked on several campaigns, and I think sometimes people overestimate their influence and impact in the community. You may be well known in a pocket of community, but that doesn't necessarily reflect your impact as a larger scale. I tell people you might be popular, but you're not famous. So that's the best way I try to explain it. So I think she needs to keep the momentum. This is just the starting block for the future.
If she-
and being consistent, she was new, and it was refreshing. I love seeing a young woman run for mayor, but she came out of nowhere, and I think that's what threw everyone off. They were impressed by how she spoke. She actually came with a plan. she was in the community, but she was going up against two people that have large name recognition. People see their faces. They're around all the time. So I think I thought she was a strong candidate. And I think that once she plants her roots in Brockton and continues to get to know the community and get her name out there, I see her getting it by the next mayor.
Yeah, no,
So what does she actually physically do between now and?
Yeah, we'll get to that.
Okay.
That's my thing. So Ward 6 counselor, we have, I want to call him Jack Lally because that's how I know
Jack
him.
Lally, yeah.
537, Jamal Brathwaite with 173, and then Lisa Crowley at 197. So that's actually not a large difference between Lisa and Jamal.
Well, yeah, but they're,
But if you added them both up,
Yeah.
do they pass?
no,
Jack?
they
They
don't.
don't.
Yeah. I mean, that's an interesting thing. At the end, that's the determinant.
Right.
If you take all the people below you and then.
Correct.
But that doesn't, it's a question of if the other two candidates want, just it would apply to any of the wards. But
Yeah.
if the other candidates wanted to unite, I mean, they're both running against the incumbent.
Correct.
They have reasons for that. Are they putting themselves ahead, or is their primary motivation to defeat the incumbent? If their primary motivation is both of them to defeat the incumbent, then they could unite forces and get a lot closer, or maybe win. But if their primary goal is to enhance their own importance, then there's no motivation
There
to
you-
cooperate.
correct. Right.
So I don't. That's a funny one. But eventually, and it won't be tonight, we're going to see like turnout, total turnout, but also turnout per ward, and that'll be
That's always interesting.
That is always
right?
interesting. Oh, wow.
Okay, Counselor at Large. Judith Nelson, 1661. Alex Gayan, 733. Wynn Farwell, 2,122. Jeffrey Charnel, 1,508. Joseph Francois, 939. Jed Vesco, 600. Carla DeRosa, 2,415. Wow. David Texera, 2,890. Stephen Clay, 499. Michael Nunez, 1147. Matthew Delisme, 769. And then the write-ins are 58.
Well, that's still pretty amazing, Carla DeRosa.
I'm
I
so
am
impressed.
impressed.
I'm very impressed.
Now, what did she do
Yeah,
to
what was her
garner that
strategy?
kind of result?
I don't know. Like I said, the first time I saw her was last Thursday at that event, and I have to say she seemed like smart in the sim, but she didn't like pop out with specific things that if I get in charge, here's what I'm looking. She was just sort of talking the generalization, but somehow she has a following. I don't know where she lives or anything. I saw her, people dress up for events, and I saw her standing in front of Brookfield School tonight, and I didn't recognize her. I mean, not that she knows me, but she came up, and I said, "Oh, who are you?" And she said, "Oh, I said, I saw you the other night. You were all dressed differently. Like you would have fooled me,
Well, you talk about dressing up.
Yeah.
So I was at the NAACP Martin Luther King Day breakfast banquet, and I'm sitting next to a woman at the table, and I said, we're chatting, and she says, "Oh, my son goes here and there," and I'm looking, and then somebody else comes over and says, "Hi, Chief, how are you?" It was the chief of police, and I know
that's
her,
right.
but I
okay.
never
That's right.
ever saw her out
Not
of,
dressed in police uniform.
and it's the first time her hair was different.
Yeah.
And I said, "Oh, I am so sorry. I'm so embarrassed." She said, "Don't feel, but it was just so completely,
Yeah.
you get
She
used
probably
to seeing-
likes that.
Yeah, yeah.
That she's not recognized.
She probably does
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
But I said, "Wow." But again, in terms of outer uniform,
Yeah.
and you just become accustomed. Yeah.
But there's So, there's still 8 people going on.
Yeah, I kind of want to know. Like, I tried to write down as fast as I could
Yeah, who's not?
who's not going.
No.
Well, see, but we will have that result.
I know. I'm
shortly.
just being impatient.
Right, no, but the thing, yeah, so there's still the second round, and the people at the top 4 are not running against each other, actually.
Right.
you know.
Right.
It doesn't make any difference if you're first or fourth.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It
See.
doesn't change
No, it
doesn't
how much
change anything.
power you have or
Right.
anything like
That's
that.
right. That's right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
While we have some time, I was wondering, Tom Minicello
Yeah,
decided
no, right.
not to seek re-election.
Great.
I thought he did an outstanding job as a school committee representative and then as
council.
city councilor.
Right. Mhm.
But he decided not to run for
Right,
re-election.
but then he was replaced by D'Agostino,
Mm-hmm.
who also has chosen not to run again. That's how that has become the open seat. He's not running for that
Mm-hmm. Right.
either. So, and that was last time, because then Phil Griffin won last time,
right.
and so this is his first term, and this is the first time he's running as the incumbent.
And Judy Sullivan also chose not to seek re-election for her
Yes,
school
boy, did
committee.
she take abuse. I just, there's so much like scurrilous online stuff
Oh, it's so sad.
against her, and it
Well,
was
she made a
all the troll things,
Yeah, yeah.
But
But it was something. What was something that she said, or I can't remember.
Can't remember.
no, there was this sort of the same thing with Tim Sullivan. I mean, I hate to say this now. My wife will say you're being controversial, but there was, the essential problem with them was that they were old white people in a changing city, and they seemed to be sort of defending the old ways, which they might interpret as the good old days of Brockton High, and they were seen to be dinosauric. Is that a word? And that, but there was this sort of racial component in it. Like, what do they know? They're old white people. What do they know?
So there wasn't an incident.
No, I don't. Not that I know of, but it was. There was a lot of, and she just sort of dropped out because she didn't want to deal with the nasty thing. And I don't know how good or when she wasn't my, but that's what it was. And Tim Sullivan is running. Well, it isn't now because there's only 2 of them, but he'll be running against Jimmy Pereira. Right, and so Jimmy Pereira's Cape Verdean person, and there is sort of a concerted effort to maximize our voting power. Right, and like the Cape Verdean community is older in the city, so more of the people are citizens and have been here longer than, for example, the Haitians,
Right.
who are sort of a newer group, don't own as many businesses, don't have as much influence, don't have as much money, in it.
Oh,
Aha.
latest results.
So we have Jean Bradley Court with 2,522, Moses Rodriguez with 3,096. These are final.
Oh,
We
final.
are
Final.
reporting that this is final. So I'll start over. Jean Bradley Court with 2,522 votes, Moses Rodriguez with 3,096, Luz Villar with 538, Richard Ripley with 80, Eugenie Kavanaugh with 176, Richard Reed with 366, Karina Momplelis is at 57, and then Lawrence Fargo with 108 votes. So not surprising.
Yeah, there were 1,300 votes, roughly, that I was just counting there, that were not given to one of the top 2. So that is enough to, those top 2 have to go after a lot of votes. And I think, I don't have any statistical evidence for this, but my guess is that most of the people who vote in the
Hold that thought.
wow.
Yeah.
Here are the final results.
finals, okay.
Yep, unofficial results. Judith Nelson,
Get the three that didn't make it.
Alex Gayard, 787. Win Farwell, 2,239. Jeffrey Charnell, 1627. Joseph Francois, 1,008. Jen Risco, 632. Carla, 2,582 votes. David Texera, 3,081. Stephen Clay, 535. Michael Nunez, 1,273. And Matthew Dislemi, 847. And the write-ins are 60. Wow. So these are the final numbers.
Yeah.
Wow, that was quick.
That was quick.
Very quick. You said that.
I didn't know who Stephen Clay was.
No, I never heard of him either.
Right. But he's a man in a wheelchair. He
Correct.
doesn't, and I saw him at 2 events, and he seemed like a very interesting man. But just I know, like I saw him come in to the place and just the effort of getting in, like with wheelchairs into places and stuff. I mean, I gave him a lot there. I don't remember him saying anything like really specific. He just seemed like a nice fella.
Yeah.
Well, I'm thinking when you said wheelchair, I'm thinking the governor of Texas, whether you like him or not.
Oh,
Very
yeah.
effective governor.
Yeah.
Wheelchair bound, but
Oh yeah.
Very
But
able.
he's the governor of Texas, so he has a lot of attendance.
yeah.
Right. This guy was basically
Yeah,
coming,
pretty much by himself.
by himself, and it just
Yeah. I think he was just happy to be there.
No, he was, and
Yeah.
it was nice while it lasted.
Yeah.
So we have how many weeks now? How many weeks? There's
To November.
Till November.
Yeah. So it's November 4th. So essentially, it's the last week of October. So 5, 6, 7 more weeks, I think, until the election.
5 minutes before the end.
Yeah.
Oh,
so
of the
7 weeks to the election. We are going to have voting up at the mall again for 8 days. It will end on Saturday, November 1st, 3 days before the turn. But we will have that. So, that's a wonderful thing. I mean, I like to vote at the thing, but I've twice voted at the mall just to sort of like check out, do I think this is secure? And I thought it was quite.
I voted there too.
I thought it was quite good.
I was going to say we have 5 minutes left, but I wanted to know, both of you, is there anything on your notes that you wanted to get in before we come to a close that you haven't already articulated?
No, I don't know how we can get more people out. I mean, the turnout kind of thing here would be interesting. If it was 15%, which I suppose, that would be a major triumph because you could possibly double that for the thing. But the last Boston general election, mayoral election, where Mayor Wu won, they only had 30% turnout.
And West Roxbury was the section that had the most votes.
Oh yeah.
You know.
Right. Well, West Roxbury is sort of like the Upper West Side.
Right.
That's not only is it fairly affluent, but it's a stable community. The people who live there have lived there for a long time, so they know candidates and people walk around there. And single-family houses mostly in West Roxbury, so that's easier. I know I've done census almost every 10 years, and if it's single-family houses, you're happy about that. If you're going up in the double-deckers and stuff, you're not. So it's easier to campaign there.
I remember working with you on the census one year, 2010.
Oh, yes, okay, yeah. The last one was hard.
Counselor at large.
Yes.
Okay, again, final results.
Oh, right.
Or unofficial.
Unofficial, but we read these. These are the
Yeah,
same
what?
numbers.
Oh, how do we know which ones are official? Like, which ones do we have finals for? Do we know that?
None of them.
None of them yet.
These are all of them.
All of them. These are all.
Oh, even though it says unofficial?
Right. Yeah.
These
Even
are
with the asterisks, yeah.
This is the final. So that
See, now what I like is they color coded so the
Who's
three
not
that
moving.
are out, that
Yeah.
aren't moving forward. Do you notice the pink?
Oh, yes, that's
Yes,
very
yes.
good.
Yes, yes, yes. Did you notice those
I
colors
did.
before?
I don't think you did.
Stephen didn't.
I did not.
I did not either.
Oh, did
I
you?
mean, I knew
I'm
there
the
were
only
different
one
colors.
paying attention.
I just didn't, I didn't sort of
Yeah,
put
so
two and two together.
Color code.
Yeah, they're color coded.
Yeah.
Wow.
I particularly feel good for the new people.
Me too.
Me too.
Who have gone on.
Yes.
I'm sure they,
Okay, now look, see how they, again.
yeah,
So
this is
count.
beautiful.
Oh,
Yeah.
I'm so happy for you, Ulysses.
Yeah, you're
Yes.
still a little ahead of
And
Marlon.
Marlon.
Yeah.
Both of them, yeah.
Yeah. Oh,
So, yeah, that's nice. Those two have both run before.
Oh, and here we go.
Steve O'Malley, who I don't know.
This is Jorge and Stephen Pina.
Yeah,
Yes.
who
Wow.
won by
School
90
committee.
votes.
Yeah, and Stephen Coleman O'Malley, who was a lawyer, and he had a lot of stuff out
Yeah,
there.
but if you take his numbers, his numbers are large enough that they'll make a difference in the next round.
Right,
Right.
right.
If it were just the same people voting.
And hopefully there'll be more people.
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Let's
here
hope.
we are with the,
That's
Yeah.
this one,
that
yeah.
was that one we just saw. Okay, now this is Ward 3 School Committee. Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, so Omega is
507.
out,
Yep.
and it's Matthew Stanton and Anna
Now,
Oliver.
in the last election, because I'm in that, it was a very close.
Yeah,
It
very
was
close.
within like 10 votes or 20
Oh, yeah,
votes
that's
or something.
close.
Wow.
Very close last time. So I think it'll be
here's
close
the
again.
Ward 5.
Jeff
Jeffrey Thompson, 481, with Ellie Texera, 378, and Keith Hayes is out
Yes.
with 88.
Yeah, I'm not sure if the 88 plus hers would equal his, but it was close.
Yeah, very
So
close.
it's not a shoo-in yet.
Okay,
Oh,
and here we
wow.
are.
Jack
Ward
Lally.
City.
Yeah.
Jack Lally, 537. Lisa Crowley, 197. And Jamal Brathwaite,
Right.
173.
Just statistically, if you took
Yeah,
the two
it still
together,
wouldn't make a
they
match.
still wouldn't
It wouldn't
equal
make
that.
it, no.
So, but in the last general election, Jack got more votes than any other
Anyone.
vote getter in the
Right.
city. He had 1,200 and something. So he's only
Half.
less than half of that now.
Well, those are the final results.
Yeah.
Anything else that, Courtney, anything you?
No, I was looking forward to seeing a new city council, but I guess we'll see in November what that looks like.
Yeah, and of course, I think, they keep on talking about public safety. There's always that.
But they're speaking in generalities.
Oh, yeah.
I want people to address
Yeah,
the
yeah.
hot button issues in each ward. Brockton Fairground for housing, that should be a
Yes.
Ward 1 and 3
Yeah.
issue. In Jack Lally's ward, this whole proposal for the stadium thing, Remover Park. Let's talk about and see where the candidates stand on these issues.
Not only is there's the Thatcher Street parcel that used to be owned by the nuns, that was the convent thing. There were suggestions at some meetings at city council, ordinance, I guess, that maybe that would be a good place to put another senior community like Skyview Villages, because we have a paucity of that. A lot of seniors like me would move out into a safer place.
And thus
And
making
they said
more
no.
housing.
They said that, right, and my house would be sold to somebody.
Yeah.
And they were saying, well, no, the developers, the lawyer for the so we can't make enough money on that, whatever that means. And at a mayor's debate last week, the probably favorite for the position said that, the city doesn't build, developers build.
Yeah.
And that we need to entice developers into building,
Well, that's why some of the proposals for the fairground. I mean, you and I saw the public. They did.
Yeah,
The
the thing at
architect's
West.
drawings look great.
Yeah.
But how do you get there?
Well, I was talking to one of the architects. This is the one at West Junior High, right? And the architectural drawings, when they showed what was beyond it, looked like, and I said to the guy, it looked like the prairie. It looked like this was a development out in the middle of nowhere out in Kansas,
Yeah,
a city growing up,
Yeah.
the thing. And it's not like on Forest
Yeah.
Avenue across the street from the
Well,
high
they,
school.
they
we'll see.
purposely didn't put it there. But to me, it was like they were trying to promote Brockton's
Yeah.
seaport.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
But well, I guess we'll have to wait and see. These are all great ideas. I hope they're listening because we're close to time.
Okay, cool.
Yes. So you want to close us out?
Yes, yes. Well, again, thank you, Steve Thomasy, a guest this evening, and Courtney Henderson, political strategist. Steve Thomasy, educator at the Adult Learning Center. I'm Willie Wilson Jr. Again, with the Adult
And we
Learning
look forward
Center.
to seeing you again in November,
In
where we'll
November.
have real winners.
And please
Right.
feel free to email BCA concerning any questions or comments or concerns. We would be glad to respond to those in November.
And every one of you who voted today, if you bring one more person who didn't vote today to the polls in November, we will have doubled the number from maybe, get up above 20s in November. That would be, so it's just each person bringing one more person to the poll, we can double the amount of voters. Now, it's a really practical thing that you can actually do.
And I think we're going to leave off on that note.
Thank you.